That which does not kill us makes us stronger. When we are ignored, it forces us to look inward and see our true strength, for it is in solitude that we find our most authentic self. In the face of being ignored, stand firm, for it is in your solitude that your voice grows strong. Often being ignored is society's way of rejecting what it does not understand, and yet, that very rejection signals you are beyond the ordinary. The individual must recognize that to be ignored is not a curse but a step towards self-realization. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become Izzat? He who has never been ignored will never understand the strength that is born from it. In solitude, the pain of being ignored transforms into the peace of understanding oneself. The lonely soul walks a path where few dare to venture, and in that isolation, it becomes powerful. Invisible to the crowd, the soul prepares itself for the moment it will be revealed. Loneliness is one thing, but isolation is where the seeds of greatness are sown. Do not allow their ignorance to rob you of your brilliance. The individual who has come to know himself through solitude fears no judgment, for he is the master of his own soul. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. The solitary man draws his strength not from others, but from the depths of his own being. The greatest battle is not to be accepted by others, but to be accepted by oneself. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The real world is much smaller than the imaginary. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. No one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life. No one but you yourself alone. You must become who you truly are. When they ignore you, they are simply affirming that you are walking your own path. The man of knowledge must be able not only to love his enemies, but also to hate his friends. Solitude makes the soul sharper and more distinct, while the masses only dull it. The higher man is distinguished from the lower by his fearlessness in the face of solitude. In some people, solitude is a bitter cup, but in others, it is a chalice filled with revelation. A thought, even a possibility, can shatter and transform us. He who climbs upon the highest mountains laughs at all tragedies, real or imaginary. The essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. It is not the lack of love, but the lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Similarly, it is not the lack of attention, but the lack of respect that brings us pain. The voice of your mind can never be silenced, even when the world turns its back. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. The demand to be loved is the greatest of all arrogant presumptions. What does your conscience say? You should become the person you are. There is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who are deliberate, those who innovate, then think differently. One repays a teacher badly if one remains only a pupil. The best weapon against an enemy is another enemy. One must be a sea to receive a polluted stream without becoming impure. You have your way. I have my way. As for the right way, it does not exist. He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process, he does not become a monster. The real world is much smaller than the imaginary. It is easier to deal with a bad conscience than with a bad reputation. Blessed are the forgetful, for they get the better even of their blunders. Is life not 1,000 times too short for us to bore ourselves? We love life, not because we are used to living, but because we are used to loving. Do you want to have an easy life? Then always stay with the herd and lose yourself in the crowd. The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time. The greatest thing you can do is to become a person of individuality. A friend should be a master at guessing and keeping still. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Many are stubborn in pursuit of the path they have chosen, few in pursuit of the goal. Art is the proper task of life. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well, the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. Man is the cruelest animal. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. To be ignorant of one's own limits is to remain forever in chains. Every deep thinker is more afraid of being understood than of calm or misunderstood. Faith, not wanting to know what the truth is. A thought, even a possibility, can shatter and transform us. There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness.